Good morning, everyone. Yesterday, survivors and loved ones of those killed on April 10, 2023, in the mass shooting at the Old National Bank here in Louisville, Kentucky, filed a civil lawsuit against River City Firearms, the gun store that provided the weapon to the now deceased shooter. The shooter used an AR-15 style rifle purchased at River City Firearms to murder 5 of his colleagues at the bank, wounded 8 more people, including responding police officers, and traumatizing many others who were present. The lawsuit alleges this act of widespread devastation and loss of life was made possible because River City Firearms ignored obvious warning signs when the shooter entered the store to purchase an assault weapon while he was in the midst of a mental breakdown just 1 week before the shooting. Further, River City upsold him, choosing profits over safety by selling him additional tactical equipment, including 3 additional 30-round magazines, a red dot sight, and a vertical grip for greater accuracy and control over the weapon. The plaintiffs in these cases include the families of individuals killed in the shooting, bank employees who were shot and wounded, and people at the bank who were traumatized by the shooting, including the family of James Tutt, who was shot and killed, and his wife Karen Tutt, the family of Joshua Barrick, who was shot and killed, including his wife Jessica Barrick, and their 2 children, Julie Anderson, who was shot in the arm, Jimmy Evans, who was shot in the calf, Dana Mitchell, who was shot in the back, Stephanie Dallas Schwartz, who was shot in the leg. You may notice that a number of those people are not here today. The reason for that is it's simply too painful for them and they need more time. Crowds are difficult. Being around people who were there is difficult. Hearing the story retold is difficult. Perhaps they'll never be ready. It's an honor to represent these families with some of the finest lawyers in the country who have deep experience in these cases. I'd like to acknowledge the attorneys from Romanucci and Blandon, my friend and founding partner Antonio Romanucci, who could not be here today, his partner David Nyman, and senior attorney Sarah Raish. From Everytown Law, Al Lefkowitz, senior director of affirmative litigation, Andrew Nellis, counsel, and Emily Walsh, litigation fellow. And of course, my partner at Thomas Law Offices, Kevin Weiss. We're also pleased to stand shoulder to shoulder with my good friend and trial attorney here in Louisville, Kentucky, Hans Poppe of the Poppe Law Firm. Mr. Poppe represents the families of Tommy Elliott and Juliana Farmer. You'll hear from Mr. Poppe shortly. The causes of action in the complaint include negligent entrustment and negligence. The lawsuit was filed yesterday here in Louisville, Kentucky in Jefferson County Circuit Court. The complaint states that someone in the gun store said the shooter appeared uneasy, avoided eye contact, and demonstrated a complete lack of knowledge about guns. The shooter allegedly told River City employees that he wanted to purchase an AR-15 for self-defense. Despite the cost, a rationale particularly hard to square with his lack of firearm experience. Licensed firearm dealers, like River City, are instructed by the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives that they are the first line of defense in preventing firearms from falling into the wrong hands, and that they should not proceed with suspicious sales. Additionally, they are specifically advised against selling to customers who demonstrate a lack of knowledge about firearms or behave nervously. Against the backdrop of a national epidemic of mass shootings carried out by troubled young men wielding AR-15s, River City should have realized that something was amiss. The consequences of ignoring these obvious red flags was a foreseeable event, and it resulted in the tragic shootings of that day. The devastation done to the Louisville community by this mass shooting is immeasurable, and our clients' lives are forever altered because of it. They deserve justice for the harms they have suffered, but they also feel strongly that using this litigation will bring about a positive change so that other families do not have to suffer in the same way. Our legal team is committed to fighting for the justice that these families deserve. If I could just say one thing in closing, as the families here, like I said, want change. And if any firearms dealer out there is watching what's going on in the news today and watching this press conference, I just ask you to hear the stories of these families. You are the first line of defense, and you can prevent this next tragedy. So I hope you'll pay attention to what's going on here today and what's going on in Louisville, Kentucky, and do things in your own shops to prevent the next tragedy.